Welcome to the latest episode of Dyad in the Force. We're super excited because if you don't know what game is being remade, then you're not a Star Wars. No, I'm just kidding. That's stupid. But we're going to talk about the famous remake. It's a remake. Super exciting. I'm excited to talk about it. But we're also going to do a deep dive into Tempest Runner. We have given you guys time to finish this audio drama. It wasn't that long, but we're going to do a deep dive into it and talk about the amazing Miss Lorna D right here on Dyad in the Force.
Unseen for generations, a Dyad in the Force.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Dyad in the Force, episode 43. As Choco said, we are going to be talking about the KOTOR Remake. We're joined... Oh, and Tempest Runner. But we're joined with two of our very special friends and guests. This time around with Justin and Brooke. Brooke is here to speak on her own about Far Far Away Factory this time. So... also, a little bit of a new feature on this stream, guys. If you are having trouble keeping up with our talking points, in this, where is it? Here, in the topics of discussion bar, that will shift every time we shift topics. So, without further ado, Justin, would you like to introduce yourself for people who don't know you?
Sure. Probably most of you don't know me, but I'm this Justin 998 on TikTok. I ramble about Star Wars and Dungeons and Dragons, and that's about it. I just love being in this community, talking with all these friends, and just enjoying Star Wars. It's just a whole lot of fun. No better time to be a Star Wars fan. Love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Brooke?
Well, hello. My name is Brooke, or B Dazzler on TikTok and every other social platform. I do mostly Star Wars content, some Marvel stuff. Have been recently talking more about my ever-growing collectible collection as well, if you're into that. So I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. How is everybody doing? Choco, what's going on with you?
Whew, I just moved, so I'm in a new place, and I think like already you'll see the camera quality looks better, but pretty soon I'm not gonna need to do green screen anymore. I mean, right now there's just right now it's just a wall behind me, but I'm gonna have different cool stuff. I might have to get something from Brooke. Let's jump to the Death Star.
My immersion.
But it's gonna be super cool. I'm excited. I'm happy to be moved and like ready to go. So I'm just tired.
Are you just about settled, or just this portion of your desk in the corner?
Literally just this. Everything else is in shambles. It's the best.
I need to stop moving because it's Dyad in the Force time.
Absolutely. I appreciate that, by the way. How is you guys' weeks going, Justin, Brooke? Anything special to mention?
Aside from Star Wars news, which is all of my existence. Okay. I've been working a new job recently. It's been going great, having a good time, and just enjoying life, one day at a time.
Yeah, I'm good. Just working and making stuff, and I've been having a Star Wars marathon with a few of my friends who have never seen Star Wars before, and we got to The Force Awakens last night, so that was fun.
Ooh, okay.
Nice.
Yep.
Do you want to give the viewers a preview of what you were working on? I know you probably showed us in confidence, but
that's fine. Yeah,
I'm
so
gonna peer pressure you.
if you didn't know, I am the one who does Far Far Away Factory that these two so graciously advertise every week. But I do a lot of custom work, and I've been working on a pair of custom shoes for someone. We've got Spider-Man on one side, and the other shoe will be Iron Man.
Dope.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to get some custom Spider-Man Venom shoes.
Ooh.
But yeah, we'll talk. Also, Justin, if I'm not mistaken, you're in the works with a D&D podcast.
Oh yes, that is a handful of episodes have already been edited. We're just waiting to make sure all the branding's in place, and but that will post wherever pods can be casted soon. It will be called Star Wars First Resistance. A fun adventure set in 14 BBY. Think Bad Batch meets Jedi Fallen Order, because we got a clone, we got some other fun Jedi survivors, maybe not, all in our main cast, and it's been a blast so far. Just having a lot of fun with my Star Wars friends, and I love it a lot because like one of them doesn't know a lot about Star Wars, the other like kind of just binged everything canon. One of them's me, who knows a lot, and then my wife, who knows only a little less than me, but it's a lot of fun.
I'm actually like about 45 minutes in to the preview that you shared with me, and it's good so far. No major issues in terms of continuity.
We'll break it someday.
And then that's not me just like inserting myself. I'm like the police of continuity. Justin shared it with me to make sure there weren't any issues, but so far so good. Let's catch up with the chat here. We have Nerd Connor says, when did you have an audio monitor? Is this behind? We're seeing fancy. So let's just go to this then. Since when did you have an audio monitor? Since Choco had one in his High Ground podcast, I definitely appropriated that for my uses. Yes, if you guys don't already know or can't see on the bottom of this stream, there's a couple of waveforms down there for the guests, for me, and for the background music, which is playing automatically, and I don't have to have playing on my computer. It is baked into OBS, which I will show Choco how to do later.
We always try to push each other as far as like production quality. I'm always behind, but I just recently got close to catching up, so I'm proud of myself. I'm proud. You should be.
Anyone that thinks streaming is easy is kidding themselves.
It's a lot. I mean, my monitor is like a full-on production studio. So that's why whenever I have technical issues, I'm like,
The force is strong with this.
And then we have Arya. I'm late, but I'm here. Welcome, Arya. Thank you for tuning in. And then Nerd Connor says, Brooks' work blows me far away. I'm funny.
Also, to say something Element has never said, Far Far Away Factory, amazing name. Great branding. Love that.
Oh,
absolutely.
Thank you.
Arya says, I need to commission some HR shoes from you, Brooke. : eyes : Oh, well, you can see it. You can see it in the chat, actually. It is an emoji.
But we need some Elzar Man concept art.
Listen, I'll do it. I'll make it.
Elzar and Avar kind of. What is their ship name? Avan?
I like Avan. Avan works for me.
Krelzar?
A-Man.
Jedi DePaul with the ramen drop, $5, dropping some love. Can't wait for the ramen feed. Yes, we shall have that one of these days. Choco and I have some plans to at least get it started, but that's definitely in the works for sure. Harriet says, I can relate so much when a technical error occurs. It's so stressful. Absolutely. Oh, here we go. Arya says, don't get me started on Elzar Man concept art. We're going to have to. It's always a fun time to get you started on High Republic. Your Twitter feed is lively.
Arya's Twitter feed is what keeps me up. If I'm what comes next? I'll just go to Arya's Twitter feed and be like, okay, so we're this many days until that. It's the best. It is. We haven't gotten concept art yet. It's very informative.
And she looks like she got it canonized by Daniel. I don't know what she's saying got canonized, but that's interesting to say the least.
Sorry, I hope I'm not putting you too much on blast, but the Lego box concept art you made for the Jedi Vector was also beautiful.
I have to see that still. I've been absent from TikTok for a while, even though I've been posting videos. I need to
say that.
What's up?
Oh, that just makes me want a Vector Lego set. I would pay lots of money for that. I would have 3.
Absolutely. All right, so let's move on to our first topic, which is, of course, the KOTOR Remake. It was just announced yesterday, 2 days ago. Time is not a thing to me anymore. So it was announced during the PlayStation Showcase, which got a lot of people a little bit worried about its exclusivity. But first and foremost, we gotta look at Revan, who I have here on the screen for you guys in the stream. I didn't mean to rhyme that, but it did. So serendipity. So this is all we got. We just got like a 4K render of Revan and then some lines from what we can assume to be Bastila, saying we face the greatest Sith in generations and he must be stopped. Initial impressions from this announcement, guys. Any thoughts? Just jump right in whenever you feel like it.
I'm excited. It excites me. Mostly because I've never played the original. It's on my list, but I was secretly waiting because if we are all to be honest with ourselves, the original has not aged very well.
No.
And I did start it. I remember about a month ago I started it and was like, oh, is this it? This is like, I think I can do it, but like that tutorial area and just the way the camera moves and the way everything works is just like, oh boy, this is from the year 2000, isn't it?
It
really so I was like, they're gonna remake it because there's a rumor about it happening every year, and I'm excited. I'm excited to play it next gen, to play it, to see what they offer, because apparently, I believe I forgot her name, but she tweeted that she'll be reprising Bastila, which makes me think it's all going to be all new voice lines, new everything.
Yeah. Jennifer Hale.
It's going to be fun. I don't see it being bad because apparently like the people behind it are very passionate. There is a lot riding on this. So if it is bad, that won't be good, but I think it will be good.
Yeah. What about you, Brooke? Any thoughts on it?
As someone who also has not played, I was very excited. I got like goosebumps just watching that little teaser, and I was like, I don't know anything about Revan or the High Republic, but like or the Old Republic, but let's go. I definitely want to play the original now, especially that we're getting a remake. I think it'll be something fun to stream. Also, I'll probably need help because I'm terrible. But I'm excited that it's like a remake and not a remaster, which I feel like with a game that old, that's kind of the route you have to go anyway. But I'm interested to see where they're going to take it, if the story is going to be exactly the same or if they're going to change parts of it. I'm excited.
Yeah. I mean, personally, for my experience, like I actually made a video on that a while ago. So the video I remade was actually a reply to that, just in case people wanted to see that I was talking about it being a remake and not a remaster a year ago. But whatever. But you're absolutely right. The game has not aged the best. Playing it now is a little rough. It has been ported to
Mobile.
Mobile and Microsoft. It's not on PlayStation 4 at least at this point in time. But yeah, the gameplay is still a little rough. They've been porting a lot of games over, but there was a thing from that time period where the camera and controlling the person followed each other. And I've said it many times, I get car sick. There's games I can't play, even though I love them. I would be trying to play Spyro the Dragon, and I'm chasing one of those damn guys running around, and I'm like about to throw up, and like I catch him, and I'm like, okay, I have to chill for a while because this game is making me sick. I'm happy that we're getting a remake so we can update those types of things. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping, I think there's definitely going to be an upgrade to the combat, but I'm curious what you guys want as far as an upgrade in combat, because, the old one was a little odd, but do you want it to be like Final Fantasy VII Remake? Do you want it to be like Jedi Fallen Order and you're playing through the story with that? How would you guys want the combat system to work?
Yeah. We'll get to those, a lot of those questions in a bit. I just wanted to shout out Connor's 1.21 pounds of ramen, and that is British pounds. That is not the weight. But I would love 1.2 pounds of ramen right now, if possible. And then X-Core Gamer Skill says, if it's bad, that won't be good. Top commentary, Justin. I love it. I love it.
You can just never ask me that. That's fine. You know what I meant.
So I wanted to highlight this chat right here from DePaul. Shout out to Jedi Master DePaul. He says, I honestly hope they make Revan transgender or non-binary for the story. Before we got into the discussion on like gameplay mechanics and combat mechanics, I really wanted to know your guys' thoughts on how they could possibly, contemporize this game for modern sensibilities in terms of like self-inserts, because originally in KOTOR, I say KOTOR like the
Like
trade craft.
Yeah.
Originally in KOTOR, it was a self-insert. You could make the character whoever you wanted, whichever gender, whichever skin color or whatever. It would be whoever you wanted that person to be, and so that leads to a lot of people saying Revan isn't really anybody specific. It's who you like. For Choco, he was a black man. For me, he was an Asian. So, would you guys want that to remain the same, or do you think for continuity's sake they should standardize an appearance of Revan that either matches the MMO SATOR, his appearance there, or just standardize it to where it is something concrete, like whether or not it is a non-binary, a transgender, or male or female? Like, would you guys want something concrete or another self-insert? Brooke, we'll start with you.
I feel like I'm kind of cool either way. I think if they wanted to, I'm sure we'll talk about whether or not it's going to be canon, or if we want it to be canon or not. It would make more sense, like Fallen Order, just have like one concrete character. But I love the idea of inclusivity and having better representation. So making Revan someone who's non-binary or gender fluid or transgender would be really cool. I feel like the other route that they could go is, instead of kind of like choosing between like if you want to be a man or a woman, just have them at some point ask like what your pronouns are, and you choose your pronouns for the game. Might be kind of a cool idea.
What about you, Justin?
I have thoughts, mostly because I've spent a lot of this Saturday arguing with nerds that think it's a terrible idea, because I left one comment on one Cat Lady video. Shout out to Cat Lady, love her. But I would love to keep the self-insert aspect, because that is A, a product of its time, and B, this game resonated with so many people. I feel a lot of reason because of that, because in that era, self-insert characters were all over, but they were silent, and depth was lacking, just like about as shallow as you can get. This was like, I'm not going to say the first, but one of the first major in main gaming self-insert characters that had an arc, had a story, which is why still resonates with people today, and probably why people cling to their version of it so heavily, but don't understand that other people should have to have their version. So I would like, maybe story-wise, have them be non-binary, because it would be cool for finally a main character to be non-binary. We have, I think, 3 in canon. None of them are main characters.
That's true.
And you could pick, games are doing this a lot, your presentation or style. I believe Splatoon 3 is wording its style, like choose your style. Do you feminine looking, masculine looking? And so you could have your cake and eat it too in that way. It's what I would prefer. I think it would be cool.
I like that. Cyberpunk,
and it would make fanboys mad. So
Cyberpunk actually did have that gender non-fluid kind of option where it was just feminine and masculine instead of like, the norms.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to bring up, is when you play that game, you choose how your character looks, and then you separately choose their genitals.
That was a surprise.
Not sure if we need to do that in KOTOR.
We may not need to do that, but I think that I think that does need to be open. I think that the romance options in the game also needs to be open, so people can play the version that they want to. And since this game is likely, it's I'm they haven't specifically said it's not going to be canon, but like literally in the promotional thing, it says the legend is being remade, and I think that was pretty on the nose. I think that was intentional. And if it is going to be Legends, then yeah, why not let people be able to go wild with it? Because in a canon story, you do need that. I think we need to have canon and Legends both available because they'll both bring different things to the table.
Absolutely. I'm gonna provide a counter argument to that really quickly. But before we get to it, I think what they can do is do some type of like Mass Effect thing where it could be gender fluid in terms of customization, but have a continuity like designated Revan that is like for story purposes, that is the thing. And of course, everything else remains open, like, you know, masculine, feminine, and all of that good stuff. And then the romance option stays relatively the same. There's no disparity between the two, like in the original KOTOR, where you could not romance certain people because of your chosen gender in that game. So I would like, for story purposes, to have like an in continuity version. Like, you know, a lot of people say that FemShep is canon. Like, that's the that's the main shepherd.
FemShep is best Shep. That's for sure.
Absolutely. But yeah, like I would love to have a Mass Effect kind of thing where there is a designated Revan, but in playing the game, you yourself can insert yourself and, you know, change whatever you want about him. Expert Gamer Skill says, I want it to be old school combat. So I don't. Okay, so specifically, I don't want the combat to be what it was in KOTOR, because that's the number one barrier for anyone. It makes sense for someone who plays D&D. It makes sense for someone who's you know, all about that life. But, you know, well, I'd like Brooke's opinion on this too, because she is quote unquote struggling with Jedi Fallen Order, and I'd like to take on the combat. How would you like the combat to be in the new KOTOR?
I mean, I like the combat of Fallen Order. I just haven't been as active playing games, so it's harder to get used to because I feel like there are so many controls. But if we're comparing to like Final Fantasy VII, I like that style combat, how they kind of remade from the original. They made it a lot more like the combat that you see in like the Kingdom Hearts games. And it's like kind of a nice balance between like all like controls and switching back and forth between like your other resources.
Yeah.
So without knowing how the original kind of KOTOR was, I kind of like that style. So you have your normal combat controls, but then you have your other options for things as well.
Yeah, the original KOTOR combat was very passive. You know, you could pause the game when you did it, but you could not pause the game. But you essentially selected targets and then selected actions and queued up actions, and they would kind of, you know, go through those actions as, you know, the turns progressed.
Okay.
But I like how you brought up Final Fantasy VII Remake, because a lot of people, there will be a minority of people who didn't like the shift in the combat system. I did. I'm a huge fan of it, but I also have to point out that Final Fantasy Remake also had an option to turn it back to the classic turn-based mode. And so I feel like that's the best approach. I don't know. What do you think, Choco or Justin? Like, real-time action versus turn-based, an option between the two. What do you guys prefer?
So I've recently revisited Dragon Age Inquisition, and the way the combat system works there, and it could definitely be improved upon, but it is both at the same time, where you can freeze and zoom out, and you can say, I want this person to run over here, and you can set the combat styles of your different characters, or just control them directly and pick what trees they go off of. I think Dragon Age Inquisition is actually the perfect marriage of the two. I just want to feel immersed, because it really did break immersion for me. There's a bad guy, everything stops, and then it's like playing Legos for your, building blocks of this, which did have its benefits. I just would roll in with 3 Force users and make sure that every 3 someone was healing the team. But if you can do something where it doesn't break the immersion, where you are actively controlling all of the characters, I think it would draw people in a little bit more.
What about you, Justin?
I definitely want it to stay an RPG, if that makes sense. Because like, as fun as like using Fallen Order system would be, then it's an action game. But this was like an RPG based on D&D, which you said, if you don't know D&D, it's a little confusing. I do, and I appreciated it. When I made my character, I was like, I know what these stats mean. Apparently, you could just make your character wrong and suck for the whole game. They should probably take that out. But like,
yeah, there's a good friend of the channel who built their character wrong, and then hit a point where they just couldn't continue the game, and they had to start over. I'm not going to name names, Sawyer.
Yeah, and then Sawyer ran into that glitch too, which is why I'm scared to try the old version. So I would love, mostly for like the feats and the abilities, to stay, instead of it being like more action, less RPG. I would like that big, and Brooke mentioned Kingdom Hearts. I would actually love that if you have like a command system that's like, here's all the feats that you took in menus with your points, use them in real time in this system. Or I love what you said, Element, like if people want to, they could probably turn, because it was optional in KOTOR. You could have the freeze gameplay as soon as the battle starts, or not. And so people could play it like a tactical RPG, or people could play it like an action RPG. I have faith that they can marry that they can marry those two, and maybe take things like, I've never played Dragon Age, I've seen it though, and maybe marry some of BioWare's more modern sensibilities. I think it could work, but I would just, main thing, want it to stay an RPG.
Yeah. I think they could. Also, really quickly, I missed this, but shout out to the drip check on Justin.
Oh yeah,
Dyad in the Forest, baby. Who's on the back of that?
That's privileged information.
So, I mean, just not me.
Let's see here. Xquargamer says Dragon Age Inquisition was great. I thoroughly dislike FF7 remake. And I also probably should. I should probably also highlight.
Come on.
Oh, I love the remake. There's so much of the modern combat there, and I don't like it for RPGs. And so, like, I wanted to highlight this message because, a lot. I mean, I feel like that sentiment is rooted in not being able to change with the times. I mean, there's going to be a lot of, turn-based RPGs out there. There are a lot. If you go on Steam, there's a lot. So you don't really need to kind of like, I guess, stake your claim in that territory. But like, I think with KOTOR and the ability to, or with FF7 remake, with the ability to give you options, or with the ability to kind of do a middle ground in terms of like combat, I think would be the most suitable option. I guess it would be like just a middle ground. Give them the option to, or at least make a system where it's kind of like VATS and Fallout, where you could choose to do it in real time as well.
That's a great example, because Fallout is also based on a TTRPG system, GURPS,
Yes.
if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And we are losing Brooke.
I know.
And just one more thing, though, I want to add that I'm excited about is, how they said that they were just building this from the ground up. So I know we all saw the little teaser, but if you watched to the end of the PlayStation, they actually brought on the head producer, and he talked a little bit. He talked a little bit more about it, and oh man, I can't wait, because like there's certain places I can remember, like Tatooine didn't feel as expansive as Tatooine should. Like, you walk to the end of this map, and then there's like some rocks, and then you click on the rocks, and then you're in a new place. I would love, to be able to walk through these like ancient valleys and stuff, and look at the scale, and
a crate dragon appears randomly.
I hope not. That crate dragon was terrifying. I'm curious if they'll update the crate dragon to look like look like it did in Mando, or keep it, looking just like a regular dragon. But it's going to be so beautiful. And then another thing, just to add a little caveat, Ryan Treadwell did in his post on the PlayStation blog, called it a timed exclusive. There's a lot of people that were like up in arms. So it was a timed exclusive.
Yes, they did at least confirm that it's coming to PC as well. We don't know how long the timed exclusive is, but it is at least coming to PC. Sorry, feels bad, man. Xbox fans. Wildspace says turn-based pissed me off seeing Karth waiting forever just to miss all his shots. That's basically how the game played.
One could argue it's an authentic D&D system experience.
It is.
You roll your D20 and it doesn't work.
You miss every shot you don't take unless you're Karth, and then you just miss all of those shots as well.
I also got a comment on the video that I posted covering this. Like, someone was saying we better have the same voice actor for Karth, and I'm just like, no. Like of course, like for solidarity purposes, yes, but like I really didn't like the voice actor.
And that's also why I didn't pick up a Mass Effect. But what we really need is an update to the damn Twi'lek vocal options. There's like, it's like they filmed 45 seconds of Twi'lek dialogue, and then they just like loop it. So, and it starts at different parts of it, and it's so frustrating to every now and then, Choco, and I'm like, it's the same lines.
What was the other race that had the loop lines too? It was like was it
sounds
like
Rhodian to me, but it's
there's Omitopi.
Yeah.
clunky.
Really quickly, shout out to Nerd Connor for another 1.49 pounds, British pounds of ramen. We appreciate you, buddy. Hope you're doing okay over across the pond.
Yes, sir.
Harith says, ooh, this is controversial. If I want to play D&D, I will go play D&D. I want a more modern action RPG style. And that is a valid, sentiment to have, in terms of like, I mean, they do have D&D on consoles as well, don't they? Is that like... Well,
there are, I believe the latest one was, gosh, what was the name of that? Pillars of Eternity or something is a very like D&D RPG. Though I would argue against that, because you said something similar, Element. It's like, that's based on a fallacy that turn-based equals archaic, which is not true. It's just a different style of RPG. But, and if it's not your preference, that's fair, but, it's not old. And though I still stick by what I said, I would love a hybrid style. I would love, like, exactly what the game did, give you a choice.
Nerd Connor also says, tell Choco I'm going to donate $1.50 to him as well. He's here.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Julia says, I only play RPGs where I can be hot. Can I be hot in a KOTOR? You can
yes.
be.
Yeah.
You absolutely
and
can.
And Bastila? Oh, we get HD Bastila.
Ooh.
Sorry.
Sorry, Mrs. Choco.
I mean, I'm super pumped for the 4K of Bastila. More so than Revan, but definitely 4K Bastila. Just everyone in 4K, really. Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, I look back at, like, what's his name? Zalbar? And, like, Mission, and just all of the characters, and you're just like, dang. I can't tell what they look like anymore.
HK-47 is going to look amazing, too.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, you can kind of see him in SWTOR, right? Like,
the question becomes, what do toxic fanboys like do now? If everyone gets to play the game, then you can't be special with it.
No, they'll just talk about every little change Disney made and say how it's awful. so don't worry about it.
Okay. They'll be okay. They'll be okay.
Yeah, they'll find something good to play.
Okay. Sorry, I forgot I wasn't in studio mode, and you guys might have missed some of that when I was fixing Brooke's camera. Apologies to the stream. Yeah, we're still getting used to all of this stuff, so there'll be hiccups. Is Bastila always a woman? Yes, she's Legends canon woman, or Legends continuity
Yes.
woman.
She's a lady. Whoa, whoa, whoa. She's a lady.
Welcome back, Brooke. I don't know if we
Thanks.
can...
I don't know what my computer's doing, but I'm here now.
Julia's making fun of me now. Legends canon woman. Got it. That's gonna be with me for a while. What else? So, okay. Oh, I wanted to get everyone's opinion on this as well in terms of the game. Last thing before we move on to Tempest Runner. Do you guys think this game needs to update their traversal?
Yes.
Do we want Jedi Fallen Order, or do we want even more? Do we want open world? Because it was implied open world in the old KOTOR, like you landed on a planet and then you could go around to designated areas that were open to you. But I'm wondering, would you guys love a KOTOR where you can land on a planet and just go off?
There's an issue of scope there, I feel, and also just like focus, right? Because like, you like, oh, I could go all over Tatooine, but unless they put something in every corner of Tatooine, what would be the point, you know? So
yeah.
If the focus of the experience is the combat and the role play, keep it that way, I would say. Exploration was there a little, but it was mostly to like, oh, talk to people that had a side quest, right? Or, there's this room where there's a party and you can get drunk, if I remember correctly. So I would just keep that focus. But make the movement smoother. Because yeah, the car controls, as Choco put it, were not fun.
What about you, Brooke?
Yeah, I like the level that Fallen Order is at, where there are still lots of other places on whatever planet you're on that you can go to for extra stuff. I feel like I would get lost literally and mentally in a game that was open world but still had like a story that you had to follow, if that makes sense. Like if it was all completely open world, kind of like a Grand Theft Auto thing, sure, but because it's telling a story and there's like an end goal, I kind of need that balance there.
Yeah.
If they add side tangents, that could be fun. Though if I go off to a side path and there's a boss that appears named Ogdo Bogdo, I'll lose my mind.
I remember discovering Ogdo Bogdo on accident, and I was like at the very beginning, and I was like,
no stim packs yet?
What hell is this? I definitely want the open world, because it's similar to what we originally had. It was just a very small world with little tiny sections. But playing SWTOR, you do have that. You do have the narrative focus that kind of goes throughout the entire game while still being in an open place. I think it's a very difficult balance to make, but I absolutely think it can be done. But specifically, I want optional mounts. I want us to be able to go crazy and have, I want to ride all sorts of different things. Yeah, I want a Nexu. Yeah. Okay, I just want a Nexu.
just put in SWTOR and KOTOR, that traversal and that open world, because yes, as Choco said, you can have focus in an open world game. It's just where the quests are going to drive you, but you have that option to go off of the beaten path, and go explore, and there are players who love that stuff, and then there are players who just stick to the main scenario and main quest and just do that. So I think like keeping the scale of the open world would suffice in terms of like reining it in, but just making it open world in general would be like great for the overall story, especially if you play the original game and you are trying to go to the next portion of the map and your team was back at base still trying to like find their way and you had to wait for them. That's just a horrible system overall. I think having an open world where you could just run around and I'm thinking like Final Fantasy 15 was similar. I think we need a good KOTOR is just going to be a game that needs a healthy marriage of a lot of systems, really, without a full dive into one or the other. Nerd Connor says, where can I donate to Choco FFS?
Oh, I mean, when I go Wednesday on the High Ground podcast, I will be expecting something there. All right. But what I was gonna say is that, God, like game design is a difficult challenge when it comes to these things. Like I love how Fallen Order is able to kind of scoop you towards a different direction, but the game kind of becomes a mess in the end game if you're trying to get to a specific place and see something and then go back to your ship. It's rough. So
yeah.
And also I saw Julia Christine in the chat saying I have no idea the difference between SWTOR and KOTOR. Just real quick, SWTOR is the online game. It takes place like narratively about 300 years after the events of Knights of the Old Republic 2, and in that, but it's an MMO, an online MMO where you're creating these characters. Like you are not always Revan or always Mitra Surik, the outcast. Why can't I think of the name?
Exile.
The Exile, yes. But you create your own character, you choose what class they're going to be, and they have their own individual storyline. It's a lot of fun. I'll be back into playing it now that I'm getting settled to the new place. But very different games.
Julia asks, can you be hot? Yeah.
Oh, all of my characters are hot.
Absolutely.
Especially my Imperial Agent.
My Darth is pretty hot, yeah. Julia, just get the game. It's free to play, and post your character in Discord, and we'll see if you can be actually hot.
They're still updating it, right?
They are.
Yeah, we have a big fat expansion coming at the end of this year as well, and a huge change to how the gameplay works. So I just saw Harith's comment. My rule of thumb in playing the game is when you have the option to flirt, you use that option every time. Every time. It led to some weird situations, but they're always funny.
That's why we always.
I'm sure Choco's great at D&D.
Well, that's why we call Elzar Man the SWTOR player with the flirt option, or Choco.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just no. I'm good. Julie Christine, you can get an official Star Wars dating game in the Sims with the Star Wars pack, right? Doesn't that work?
It does.
I remember Sims 3 Hot Date. Those are good times.
Who did you court? Slice Noodles?
Who else? No, I don't know. No, I haven't been playing I haven't played the new one, but when the Star Wars portion came out, a lot of people were, and there were some there were some romantic options. You know, start your little Jedi family. Do what you need. Little baby Lorna D's.
Wow, baby D's. Top flight security of the world, Craig. Anyway, any final thoughts on the KOTOR remake? Anything you want to add to the discussion before we move on?
I'll be streaming it. That's all.
Yes.
Probably will do the same. It'll be fun from a blind perspective because I think I know the major story beat, but as far as like point to point, I actually don't know how the story of that game goes. So that'll be fun.
That's true.
Because I know it's beloved and for a reason. It's well put together. You know, BioWare arguably near their peak. So,
Brooke, are you gonna stream it?
I hope so. I want to stream the original. I think it would be kind of fun. Yeah, I'm really excited for it. I think it'll be really good for Star Wars as a whole. You can make an argument for whether or not you want it to be Legends or canon, but even if it's not, I'm still really excited for it. I also think it would be good for Legends since they're not really developing new Legends things. So kind of adding that in would be kind of cool instead of just like labeling all of the old stuff Legends. Having some kind of newer material would be cool too. But yeah.
Awesome. I no, but don't say hopefully. Just do it, because I would love to see you play KOTOR.
I will.
Awesome. When's the next time you're streaming Fallen Order?
My tentative schedule is Tuesdays and Thursdays, or Tuesdays and Fridays. I haven't really decided on that second day, but I'm definitely gonna play every Tuesday.
Gotcha. Julia Christine says, I don't have a PC. Xcore Gamer Skill says, I don't have the hardware for it, so I won't be playing at launch. Hopefully, there's more PS5s in the world by the time KOTOR drops.
Yeah, I believe Julia Christine and that was actually talking about SWTOR, but you don't need a good PC for it. I played it on garbage, so garbage will do.
Arya says, oh, okay, then I've been playing SWTOR. Thought I was playing KOTOR. I mean, some of it, is basically KOTOR. You just got to get to the right stories. My friend texted me about the showcase, and he's like, now you need to get a PS5. And I'm like, why? He's like, just watch this. And then I watched the trailer, and I was like, is there still PS5 stock? And he's like, no. I was like, then I'm not gonna get a PS5.
Yeah.
I spent the first few months leading up to the PS5 launch being like, I'm gonna get it. And then like the stock was never nice to me. So I was like, I'm just gonna play the PC, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Spider-Man 2, Wolverine,
we'll all come to PC eventually.
Ragnarok. No, those ones are exclusives.
Someday. I think is there a law that I can cite? Because Bayonetta is on PC now, so Kingdom Hearts.
This is so meta right
Okay,
now.
but how many years later? I mean, I'm sure
it'll be worth it.
I'm sure there's like a thing where you're like 8 years, 10 years down the line.
So meta right now.
Yeah.
She put in chat, bro.
Yeah.
Don't be naughty like that. That's awful.
Arya's response is even better though.
He's gonna pay for all those PS5s with his $1 billion Star Killer project.
Don't make me think about that, because what if they announce a Force Unleashed remake? What if they? I'd play it because it was a good game.
I would play it. Yeah, it's a fun game as long as I can still use the C-3PO skin. I'll play it because it's just hilarious to look at.
I know Sam Witwer would say yes to reprising his role. He would be like, yeah.
Julia says, keep it leashed. Keep the Force leashed.
Never.
I need that quote framed.
Would they
Out
ever
of
release a
context.
game called The Force Leashed? The Force kept in check.
Basically, it's a school sim of like being a Jedi, but you don't ever go out and do anything. You're just going to school.
No, that's what the fanboys wanted episode 8 to be. The Force Awakens, but then the Force Leashed.
Yeah. I would play a game that's just in the creche, you know? Just like a Harry Potter type of game, like a school type of game where you have to go to class and learn the Force and just, you know, get points for your house. I don't know.
It can be that dating sim that Julia wants very badly. Because we
can
all
be
know
as well.
Jedi secretly do it. So
Okay, actually, that
Hold
is.
on. I have to.
there we go, Julia. Same wavelength. I knew it.
All right, we're gonna
It's
go
a visual
there.
novel with lots of anime style. Yes. Actually,
Stay
I
away
love
from
that.
the Dren gear in that game.
Oh
For
no!
God's sake.
No, Choco.
But no, that's actually
Neat.
one of my dreams. It would be a High Republic game where you are, it takes place at the Jedi Academy, and you play, and you're learning things, and then you get to make decisions of like, okay, the kids are gonna sneak out and do this. Do you stay in or do you sneak out? And to like have it kind of build up, and eventually, depending on your choices, you might fall to the dark side. You might become, maybe being the goodiest one
The
is the
goodiest.
wrong choice. Yeah,
The goodest boy.
I think that could be. I think that could be really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I think we have agreement from Julia. A Jedi Academy game a la Harry Potter. I think it would work out really, really well.
I wouldn't know. I've never seen Harry Potter, but
Which I'm bringing up now because the community compels you. I put out a community poll about what our monthly watch along was going to be, and they voted Darth Choco's first Harry Potter movie.
Let's go. Let's go.
I didn't
The
want to
perfect
force you
season.
into it. Yeah, I didn't want to force you into it casually, but if the community's voting for it, you must.
If the community is voting for it and the community is there, right? Well, I'll need at least like 30% of the community present, and then we'll go. How's that?
Oh.
Does that sound fair? If we can get enough of them to commit to being there.
Now hold on,
Then
because
do
the
it.
community is very vague in terms of like a pool of a number. Like, what's 30% of the community? Is it like
Well, Donald Glover.
Justin?
The people voting. I just don't want it to be like a mass group of people vote and then like no one shows up and it's just me watching it by myself. Like, oh, they told me to watch it, so I'm watching it. Like I want it to be a community event.
we'll make sure that at least Julia's there. I'm just kidding. We'll make sure that everyone's there. Okay, so let's shift topics to Tempest Runner. This is the new audio drama from Cavan Scott. It's our first fully casted production in the High Republic. And Brooke, what are your first impressions of this before we go like dive deep into this?
This was, I think, my first like audio drama that I really listened to because I haven't gotten to either of the other Star Wars ones. So it was definitely a little bit of an adjustment compared to like a regular audiobook. But I think like the production value was amazing. I loved having the different voice cast and you got used to it really fast. I loved that there was sound effects and music and all of that fun stuff. It really kind of immersed you into the story, which sometimes I have trouble with audiobooks if they're not that way. Like I know the Out of the Shadows audiobook was a little bit like lackluster in that department, so this was kind of a nice change of pace. I am more of like a visual learner, so it wasn't like as much as it was easy that they kind of made it easy to tell what was like the future and what was the past, or like what was present and past. I still had like a little bit of trouble kind of distinguishing the two, but it wasn't like anything that takes me out of the story. But overall, I really, really enjoyed it. I'm always more of like a fan of the villains than I am a fan of the heroes, as much as like the Jedi are really cool. I really wanted to learn more about the Nile to begin with, especially Lorna's character. And now after like reading the whole thing or listening to the whole thing, she's so cool. She's like up there probably one of my favorite Star Wars kind of antagonists now, I would say. For sure.
Ooh, you didn't even call her a villain at the end there, but once you see what she's been through, I get it. I get it.
Right, yeah.
Justin, how about you?
I enjoyed this very much. I've listened to both audio dramas they put on, Dr. Aphra and Dooku Jedi Lost. All of it the same level of production quality, though it was refreshing to have this High Republic one, because in both of the previous ones I mentioned, whenever one of these lovely and talented people were forced to play a character that was portrayed by a famous actor, it always felt a little off, you know. But these are all like, this is what they sound like. It's canon now. This is what these people sound like, and it all like Burke said, I was able to like be sucked in and was like, this is great. I am listening to these characters go through these things. I loved all the insight we got into the world. There was a lot more world building than I was expecting, but like a whole lot was established and a whole lot you could pick up on. And the characters and the Nile, not just Lorna, which also I loved learning about her, gaining appreciation about her arc and like why she is who she is, but also like the other Nile, we learn a lot about other certain Tempest runners, if we're keeping this non-spoiler.
For now.
Yeah.
What about you, Choco?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, I've always made it very clear that audio dramas are not my favorite thing because I prefer the narrative. I think having an actual narrator for the setting and certain things just makes it more compelling. But that being said, they did a great job with this, with expansive cast. Now, as someone that does listen to a lot of Star Wars audiobooks and who recently just went through the Darth Bane trilogy, sometimes it's weird when because in late years, Mark Thompson has done most things, but Jonathan Davis used to do a lot, and he did the Darth Bane one. So when you hear Marchion Ro's dad, I'm like, Darth Bane is your dad? That's super weird. Like there's some parts that like just make me chuckle, but overall awesome. Getting to unravel the onion that is Lorna D was incredible. And yeah, she kind of always had a sort of bad streak, but you understand everything that's happening to her. I mean, she's up there as far as tragic lives in Star Wars, which tragedy is part of Star Wars, so that's impressive.
Yeah, I feel like every time there's a character that gets a solo project, we're about to learn that they're not all what they seem.
Yeah.
And that we've like completely misjudged them. Because I mean, I'll be honest with you, going into this into Tempest Runner, I was just like, now, yes, of course, I'm charitable with everyone in terms of like their character story, and like there's something that's probably there that's making them like this. But for the most part, before Tempest Runner, kind of felt like Lorna was, just a badass who wanted to be a badass, and wanted to raid and pillage and be a marauder. So this was a really nice kind of look into, how she filled those shoes, how she came to fill those shoes, and look into her, her origin, so to speak. And of course, this project was a great way to get voices for everyone. As Arya says, canon, Avar, and Key voice. Excuse me. Like, I don't know if you guys saw my tweet when I was when I finished this, I was like, okay, now we need a show. Now we need a movie, because there's no way I can't possibly go on with like my headcanon of these things like playing out with these voices, with these performances. It's like the closest thing we'll get to a TV show. It's just audio, but I can see everyone with their comic book art and then like having their voices. It was just really cool with that kind of production style that like it just gives me hope that we need a show, and we will get a show. And I think they're taking like baby steps to get there. Like the initiative starts with the books, then they'll do audio dramas, and then we'll get, I don't know, like maybe some animated shorts, and then we'll get maybe an animated show or a live action show.
Specifically, DJO needs to do a show. I
Yes.
mean, the High Republic Adventures is exactly the show, the animated show that Star Wars needs for the High Republic, in my humble opinion.
It's Saved by the Bell, but Star Wars. Let's see here. I had a tiny problem, Arya says, with the casting, but it's kind of a Rising Storm spoiler. Okay. Well, it's been a while with the Rising Storm, so I mean, I don't know.
We've
if we'll
already done
spoil
full
that.
spoilers for Rising Storm, but
Yeah.
sure.
All right, so let's talk about Tempest Runner. Let me see if I can put down a spoiler banner. Is this position? I know I've recently rearranged a few things. So let Choco, why don't we talk about just the beginning of Tempest Runner? Yoink. Is that right? Okay.
Just the beginning, okay. And it's kind of hard to parse, but like, I will say it's kind of fun for the people who have been listening to the audiobooks, because for some of these characters, we already know their voices. And speaking to Levi Bond, he doesn't do audiobooks. So like when the book starts and we were having a conversation in a bar, which I loved that conversation, by the way, a lot of us already know who he's talking to, and we're like, oh no, this is not going to end well. But yeah, I loved how they really just brought us into the world, that we've been reading about. We got to see some of the Nile, and some of the people that we've known and who we thought we went missing, and then we get to jump into some of the Jedi. We got some awesome Buryaga dialogue. I will say I missed the original of the hello, but no, it was just a great thing to build this universe,
I hated to pigeonhole you into the beginning there, just because I thought I was going to spend a lot more time adjusting that spoiler banner, but it's in place now. So we can go super high level with this. Brooke, like, what are some of the things that stood out to you in this audio drama the most?
This is like the first kind of High Republic thing I've noticed. I mean, there was kind of like the opening crawl or whatever you want to call it, like introduction, but I feel like it's the first thing that doesn't really hold your hand as far as like, here's what's been going on, and then the story. I feel like you kind of have to have some sort of background knowledge, or at least maybe have read like Light of the Jedi and Rising Storm to better understand or enjoy this better, which I don't think is a problem per se, because I liked it since I've been keeping up with everything. I thought they did a really good job at keeping, especially in this whole like first section, keeping everything super suspenseful without making the reader feel or making the listener feel like dumb. Like you said, like we knew who he was talking to in the bar from the beginning, but it still kind of made it suspenseful, and then going through the whole like infiltration or whatever you want to call it, and it ends on, you think Lorna's dead, and I'm like, okay, that doesn't make sense because this is her story. But at the same time, I'm like, well, maybe she is, and maybe they're just telling her story from like a different perspective. So I kind of thought that was cool starting out, and then finding out that she like actually did make it. I was like, okay, that makes a lot more sense. But I would have gone either way with it.
Like American Beauty. I got you. Although I would have enjoyed a previously on Dragon Ball Z type of intro to the book.
Tempest Runner. What about you, Justin?
I agree with Brooke. I really appreciate that because I honestly wasn't expecting them to like continue the plot. I thought there was going to be a side thing so we could learn about Lorna D, but what I got was both, and I really appreciated that. They you kind of need to know what happened in Rising Storm, especially with the twist with the man at the bar, which I hadn't heard any of the audiobooks, but I did know it was Pan because I don't know. I figured it out. It doesn't hold your hand, but it gives you just enough. Like Brooke said, I really like that about it. And I love Mark Thompson's voice for Pan. It's very good. And
Anyone else think that Pan sounded like Sly?
There's a nugget of Sly Stallone in there, but it was exactly what I picture Doetinian, whatever he's called.
Doetine. People like 3 different people said his species and they pronounced it 3 different ways. If I remember correctly.
It's canon that no one knows what it's called.
Yeah.
It's
Same
canon
with, like, Twi'lek
that
and Twilight,
no one
depends on your
knows.
accent.
It's canon that pronunciations just are
Don't
fluid.
matter.
But I do
They're
remember them
concepts.
saying I remember someone, I think it was Lorna, saying Doetin. But again, I remember saying Charles Soule saying it was Markion. So it's whatever.
But I really liked that we also got something I don't think we've ever gotten in Star Wars before, which is like half a season of Prison Break. Right down to the person who's very bad in this jail and basically owns all the guards with a southern accent. Don't think I didn't notice that.
I mean, I was actually getting like Orange is the New Black vibes.
Wait,
Oh yeah,
That's
it's
it.
similar. Like, and what that adds a lot to the world building because we learned so much. Ryloth had settlements, which I didn't know. It's pretty cool to learn stuff like that. And then the Republic during this amazing era's penal system and all the flaws therein, which seem to be like peeking through as long as you're like there to see them. Loved getting that insight. And I loved learning about Lorna, and the pacing was brilliant. It was just like, back and forth. And as soon as something became relevant to the now story, we got the previous, like, it was like watching a season of a TV show that was very like, that they just went and like, but like kept all the scope and kept all the narrative.
Yeah, just like Arya says, felt like a detour in the overall story, but happy about it. The backstory I didn't know I needed, and I'm so attached to her character now. Kind of like me. I am now simping for Lorna so hard. I can't explain it. I would probably...
It's the sharp teeth.
I would probably...
Top or bottom? Bunk.
Yeah.
That's scene in it. She was like, "What? Which bunk do you want?" And you're like, "Oh man, they're doing things." Okay.
I would probably equivocate this to like Brooke Simpage of Boba Fett. Like...
oh man,
it's new to
that's
me.
intense.
It's new to me, but
we can't repel simpage of that magnitude.
So very important question, do you have a fan cast for her if we do get a show?
I hadn't really given it a lot of thought before we got this audio drama, to be completely honest with you. I did cast a lot of like, a lot of the Jedi, I remain firm with Katie Lotz being Avar Kriss, and I remain firm with Benjamin Barnes being Stellan Gios, and Idris Elba being Loden Greatstorm, and Kevin Hart being Buryaga. I didn't think of a Lorna D though.
What?
Oh, I'm being super
No,
like
I know.
I'm being fastidious right now because we have 3 viewers, which means we're the only people that have listened to this audio drama. It
So
seems
nobody.
like.
I was gonna bring that. They didn't advertise it, and I felt it feels weird that like the week it drops is when they drop a KOTOR announcement. And, you know, I'm not gonna be one of those conspiracy theorists is like they want it to fail, but like it just feels very unfortunate that they're not even pushing. Because the only reason I knew about it is because of you guys, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll listen to it. I have an Audible credit.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I feel like they didn't finish it until the very last moment. Mostly because we were in touch with people making it. Like, sorry, I don't think it's finished yet.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I think the day before it dropped. No, it was 2 days before it dropped. Our contact had said, if you don't receive it the week before, she's saying this 2 days. If you don't receive it a week before, contact this person. And then it dropped. So, I mean, I guess like they were kind of like down to the wire in terms of working on the audio drama, but it turned out really well.
Yeah.
And I'm not complaining, you know. One of my favorite things about this drama was just, of course, as everyone says, getting a voice for everyone. And I was simping hard for Quinn as well, which makes me simp hard for Shannon Teo. If you're out there watching this, I love you.
Sorry, I'm getting attacked.
The best kind.
Oh.
But overall, like Tempest Runner did such an amazing job of letting us see who Lorna was. And at the very end, when she had the restitution and she said, "This is Lorna D," like it really added a different meaning to her naming it that now. Like in the beginning where you're just like, oh, she just loves her name. But at the end, it's like there's so much more behind that, why she's naming it that.
She's been so many different people to so many others, and all of them have failed her. And so now she's her. I love it. I mean, sorry, what were we going to say, Justin?
That's just something amazing about High Republic in general, that you can tell they've planned this stuff out, because we've never gotten her POV and have only gotten that outside perspective of like, oh, she names her ship after herself. And so us as the audience, I've even heard, like, I believe I was thinking it, I think Sawyer said it one time. It's like, oh, she's just one of those. But then we purposefully have a whole story that's about her and why. And now we're like, oh.
Yeah.
I always loved Lorna D because I always, because they, from the beginning, dropped nuggets that like, oh, she's like from a pretty wealthy family somewhere and is choosing this life. And it was like, that's fascinating in and of itself. And, you know, just, and everyone else is so gregarious, but she's the one that sits back and watches. But mostly because myself being, I mostly kin her. So that's a big part of it, of me being interested. But man, I mean, I gotta ask. I mean, did you guys have an "oh crap, this is getting real" moment in the story?
I mean, I actually had that relatively early when, you know, I heard Pan's voice.
Yeah.
But also, you know, when I got to the part in the story where I was making those orange is the new black type of like comparisons with Orla Hest and the gang, and you know, there was also some air of like Shawshank Redemption in there as well, which is honestly an amazing thing about this audio drama. Yeah, I think it got real when she was in the restitution and and she was no longer her, you know, in the eyes of others. That was when it was real for me.
I had a similar moment, because I think it was exactly when she's talking to that person being friendly. I forgot her friend that was like a good person, was kind of an older Twi'lek. Forgot her name. It'll come to me. But
He was just trying to get home to see
Tasia.
her kids.
Was it
yeah,
Tasia?
Tasia. So it might have been. But
It
when
wasn't- not Tasia.
Yeah.
Tasia ended up being.
Tasia was the
sick.
the one blackmailing her. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So, but anyway, when she was like, "You remind me of someone I knew," and we had just been flashing back to her time with the Zygerians, and there was one like nice person there, and then she's telling her the story, but like tells her that, oh, she jumped in front of that blaster bolt for me, but we hear immediately the truth. She pulled her in front of that blaster bolt, and then that was like my moment of like, A, I really liked that storytelling. It was very well executed. B, it's like, oh, we're really learning who Lorna D is. She will say what she needs to and do what she needs to survive. And Seston, Arya always coming in
clutch.
with the clutch. And we like every step, but I was still guessing. That's what also what I loved. Like throughout the whole thing, I was like, is this gonna end with her being good? Or is this going to end with her not being good? And even though I knew in the back of my mind narratively, she couldn't have turned to the light because then Marshon's plans would be ruined. So I kind of knew in the back of my head how it was going to end, but I still found myself questioning in the moment while I was like engaged with the story. Like, is she going to make the right decision? Is she? And I was pleased when she didn't, because honestly, also that moment where it was like, no, you're a good person. You don't have to shoot him. And in that moment, she chose not to. But then she was like, I'm Lorna D and I'm gonna kill Pan and the ship's mine. I was like, there we go. That's her. That's her. Like she's you gotta respect someone who's like, I'm a bad person and I'm okay with that. Because this is who I am. I'm being my best self. So you like find yourself thinking that's a happy ending when it's kind of not.
Yeah.
Self-actualization. I don't know.
Yeah.
What about you, Brooke? What was your moment?
I feel like it really got real for me when they started flashing back to her past. And I mean, with all of the like tragedies that they gone through, I also kind of like that they showed like, this isn't, despite what she's been through, she's not really a good person. Like, you can sympathize with her or for her, but like also understand that this story is kind of coming from like a unreliable narrator perspective. But her whole like story of her on Ryloth or Aloth or whatever her village community is, and I knew like as soon as her family or whatever got like put in that room and she put all of her trust in this guy, I was like, this is not gonna go the way that she thinks it's gonna go.
Yeah.
And I'm upset about it. And then it went exactly how I expected it to go. And I was like, that's when it really got real. I was like, damn, they're really going there with her backstory. And I didn't expect them. I don't know what I expected out of the story, but they like really went in with her history. I really liked that.
Yeah. Oh, that moment. That was. You knew it was coming, but it still hurt when it happened.
Yeah,
especially
for
her
sure.
little brother. Or
It's a certain level of tragic because literally every bad thing that happened to her, she caused, but it was definitely unfair. It was always like an unfair level, but like it was always, she was the catalyst for it. And you know she blames herself because but you know, sometimes, so it's all relatable, like when she, you know, clocked that dude for being a douche and almost killed him. It's like, I know people have wanted to do that every once in a while, but like,
yeah.
She just did it because she's a girl boss, you know?
I mean,
So that was my oh crap moment. Is when he came back.
Yeah.
When he was in charge of their prison group or whatever, and she's like, oh crap, I hope it doesn't notice me. And then he does, and he comes and find her, and she's trapped, and you're like, oh no, this is not good. And he's like, you know, 'cause she thought he was dead, and he's like, no, I spent months healing from my broken skull and watch all of my friends and stuff get promoted and get out of here, and now I'm stuck with you, and I've only thought about this. And then Pan shows up, and you're just like, no, come on, like, give her a break, man. Like, But that was the whole thing, is her past just keeps popping up in the worst possible ways, and so just soldier on forward. That's all you can do, right?
Yeah, it's the eternal commentary on the past and how it affects us and your experiences and your atmosphere or your environment atmosphere. As Justin was talking about, a lot of the decisions she made were like caused her all of her problems, but they were made in the environment which caused her to make that decision. So if you're in an environment that is unsupportive and like completely against you, you will have to make those decisions that more or less cause you to be in a rough spot in the future. So her life is definitely quite literally a tragedy like Anakin's in a way. But forget where I was going with this, but let's catch up with the chat as an out. We have DePaul sucking on some wings with a fight in the background, watching y'all. Y'all are the true MVPs, if you mute the stream, if you haven't listened to this and you mute the stream, you just keep it open. More power to you, and we appreciate your support.
Oh, looks like Camilla just finished and popped in.
Did she?
Nice.
Nerd Connor, I watched the whole YouTube ad so you can get paid. Thanks. Really appreciate it. All of the things that you do. And Justin, you're amazing. You've helped me so much and are a great friend.
Justin is an awesome dude.
And then
Can confirm.
No, I do my best.
Triple confirmed.
One of the first people in the server, and
that's weird to think about because it's been over a year, huh?
We also have something happening in the chat right now. Camilla, Aria, isn't it amazing? Just a whole bunch of yelling back and forth.
Oh yeah, because she was
DePaul asking for support. Support.
Yeah, we were talking about it in the chat.
I know.
Providing.
Yes, he is. So yes, Camilla just popping in because I just finished Tempest Runner. My goodness, is it fantastic? Yeah, Brooke, what you're saying? Sorry.
I actually had that thought while I was listening to it, especially once I got to the end about that connection to Anakin, because they both have such a tragic kind of back story where they have they still have some sort of sense of choice, but how their stories kind of ended up the same but different, or under different motivations. Because yes, while Anakin chose in the end to go to the dark side, I think in his mind he believed that he didn't have a choice. That's what he had to do. Whereas Lorna, this is finally her choosing in like full confidence that this is where she wants to belong, and like it's on her terms. So I thought that was kind of cool.
And they're both stories about identity as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do want to shout out Nerd Connor saying, Brooke, you're a kind soul. Never change who you are. You're perfect and a super duper fantastic friend.
Thanks, Connor.
Awes in the chat. Can we get some Ari in the chat?
Aww.
I do want to shout out Camilla though, Barikwa Wookie. I did recently record for Beings of the Galaxy. If you don't know about Beings of the Galaxy, look that up on wherever pods are cast. Choco did also just do an episode for Beings of the Galaxy as well.
Indeed.
So look out for that to come out.
So my episode's already out.
Yes.
I regale the Callie Goins, but I'm excited to hear your episode, Pep. Hopefully that means it'll be coming out this upcoming Wednesday, Wookiee Wednesdays.
Maybe, I'm not quite sure. You'll have to ask Camilla, but yes. I did just do it. So if it is going to release the following week, then I guess we can bank on that. So do we have any more like final thoughts on Tempest Runner? Any more high level or maybe more specific things that we want to talk about?
Elephant in the room, even though it's a small one. Oppo Rencisis. We've never heard him speak before, right? And he's kind of like a major side character in this story.
Oh
Yeah.
yes,
Oh yes, young Lorna, I'm a snake man.
I have a lot of hands.
Yeah, you can stick your
I mean,
tail in the
exactly how I
starlight.
expected him to sound.
Yeah, exactly.
Was it how you expected, Jacques? Because I know every time you talk about Oppo, you get like super grossed out.
I didn't even know he could talk. I just
Oh my
he is a
gosh.
weird mouth.
Listen, if Orbelin can talk, so can him. So can he.
Doesn't
Well, I don't even
Oberlin
know
use
if
like
Oberlin can talk.
vocoders or something? Yeah. I don't think it's, and considering Wookiees don't really talk, it wouldn't have surprised me if he let out some sort of gruff shriek.
Yeah.
But no, I did enjoy seeing more stuff with him. Just because that design is a crazy snake man with 4 arms and a beard. So
Yeah.
Such a nice fellow too.
But every time I looked at Rancisis, I saw Radagast.
Yeah.
And I felt like that voice kinda sorta matched up with him, I'm Oppo Rancisis. That's the whole book. Sorry.
I'm going to survive Order 66, and you'll never hear from me again.
So yeah, anything else on Tempest Runner?
I did want to bring up. I thought it was cool that we got like the backstory and like the real truth of what happened to, I don't remember his name, Marcian's dad.
Oh yeah, Asgard.
Because it kind of like gives you context for like how and why the like relationships between like Marcian and the Tempests are the way they are in the beginning of like Light of the Jedi and the beginning of the High Republic stuff that we've seen. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me excited for the Eye of the Storm too, which is the
absolutely.
for Marchion. Simply because like you kind of like it kind of gets revealed that like he's always been like that, and it hasn't been a product of him like losing his father. He's always been that kind of guy, and in the face of the other Tempests, he's always just like, you all don't matter to me. So in the grand scheme of things, it's just him and his agenda and his goals, and that's it. Yeah, any thoughts on Marcion?
I did love those flashbacks to the Nile stuff, because like how she joined the Nile was very cool. How and how she became a Tempest Runner, also very cool. And then like still the other POV of what happened to his dad, because like they were planning, but we know from Rising Storm that Marcion did it. So and so they were all confused, like, oh, what's going on? Was it you, Lorna? And it's it's just really good storytelling and like layered, and I appreciated it.
I liked getting more context on Asgard himself, because he started popping up more as a voice, so to get some history on the person that that voice belongs to was really cool. Additionally, because we didn't really talk about it, but this comes after Justina Ireland's Out of the Shadows, and there was certain things where I liked the status quo that was set at the end of the book, and if you read all the stuff, you can kind of see the direction of the narrative. But seeing a lot of the Nile destroyed, and now Lorna is coming with all of these resources and things that she's taken for herself, it's going to be really interesting to see who's on top now, because it's really anybody's game at this point.
Yeah, and I actually I agree with you, Justin. That was an interesting kind of look into Pan bringing her in, and then she was just like a like an edgelord that just walked into a clubhouse, like a death clubhouse, and she's like, "Oh man, this is amazing! Oh my
I
god!"
sharpened my teeth for this.
Yeah, this is like, I mean, sorry, that was a horrible impression of Lorna D, but what are you gonna do? Camilla says, I feel like I read Light of the Jedi so long ago. Does the Nile storyline begin with Asgar's death? I don't remember, but it felt familiar. No, that was a bit ago. We joined.
They only talked about him past tense, if I remember correctly, which is
Yeah.
also like Choco, why I appreciate like, oh, he's here, and I get to hear what he sounds like.
Yeah. But we also had the Tempest Runner that, you know, kind of was being blamed in Light of the Jedi. We saw what ended up happening to him. Why is his name not coming to me? But it didn't end well for him. But we all,
Cassiv?
yeah, Cassiv. It didn't end well for him. But as we get more context to this, we're realizing like, oh, Marchion's just off his freaking rocker. Oh, also, just to comment on Arya's recent comment, Lorna D in Mando armor at the beginning, just like rocking people, dope. I need that. I'm gonna need that animated or something.
We need to address that she got that from somewhere, meaning she overtook a Mandalorian.
Or just the idea of Mandalorians in the High Republic era.
Yeah, that's true.
Because we don't have any kind of like, we don't have any context surrounding what's happening with them in this time period. I mean, by the time of the prequels, we have not a lot of, I don't think we have any Mandalorians.
Probably in the middle of
besides-
another civil war. It's what they do. So-
Yeah, I don't know exactly when the Civil War was, but yeah, in the prequel era, we kind of just get on with the new Mandalorian age and with Satine and the Death Watch. So it's interesting to kind of maybe we'll get some content surrounding the Mandalorians as well in the High Republic era. What are they doing? Does a Asgar Fett exist? Is there like someone before Jango? That's interesting to think about for sure. Arya is not gonna lie. I'm on my 4th read through of Oots, and I still don't know what's happening. Just focus on the dog. That's the couch.
No, we're gonna say this when we talk about that book, but I understood a lot of people had problems with the pacing. I kind of just like read through it, and after the fact, I was like, Light of the Jedi and Rising Storm are like movies. Read this book like it's like 7 episodes of Clone Wars, like it's like half a season. And
Yeah.
like if you picture it that way, the flow will work a lot better.
I always say it was like it was just like a snowball. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like you said, it wasn't structured like a movie. It was structured like this thing, and it was just rolling down a hill, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And at the end, it just like crashes, and you're like, oh, and now we're done. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of how I feel about different authors. I think Charles Soule is like a very plot heavy writer. Cavan Scott is like a healthy mix of both plot and character. Claudia Gray, huge character writer. I think Justina Island is on the same boat. She is a character writer, but she has a different style, which is something you have to get used to. I think I was more or less kind of gradually inducted into Justina Ireland's writing style with A Test of Courage, which at the very least softened the blow for me. You know, Out of the Shadows wasn't a huge departure that like caught me by surprise. Like there's definitely some pacing issues, and there's some like perspective shifting that is very like abrupt, but you know, you kind of have to get used to different writing styles for sure.
It's kind of like you're a part of the story as it's unfolding, versus Claudia Gray's writing, where it feels like that story happened and someone is telling you the story knowing the full context of it. I think I guess that's how I would put it. And so you're just, things are just happening to you and you're like, I don't even know where this is gonna go, but okay.
Yeah, like looking at Claudia versus Justina versus Daniel's YA style, I think they all similarly have strong suits in character writing, but they definitely have a lot different styles. Daniel has the most distinct prose when it comes to writing, I believe, which is incredible. When you start reading all of the books, kind of get used to all of these different authors. And Tempest Runner is a different beast altogether. It's written by Cavan Scott, but it is a performance, and there's barely any prose, and if there is, it's in the form of just the narrator. Who do you remember who's the narrator in Tempest Runner?
I don't think there's ever a narrator. It's always a...
Well, there's someone that's doing like exposition, like, a little bit, but in character. It's not like a narrator.
In the beginning, it was the guy telling the story to Pan, but I believe every time after it was Lorna either talking to herself or talking to someone else when we're transitioning from the past to the present.
Yeah, like there was the therapist, and then there is the interviewer.
Forgot about the therapist session. That was very good.
Yeah. That was an interesting take, honestly. Of course, it was a full performance, so expecting exposition and prose is futile. But I like the way that they at least integrated that much with the different points of view, and like turning them into like in-universe narration. That was kind of cool. So we're gonna do something that we haven't done before, which is how would you grade this audio drama? I'd say it gets a solid B+ for me.
Are we saying in compared to all the other High Republic media, or like just on its own as an audio drama?
On its own. I would never grade things compared to others. They're all
That's true.
different things, right?
I agree with B+ then. I have a very small nitpick that a few takes, the like emotional weight of their like delivery wouldn't quite land. Specifically, there were a few like Lorna moments where like, oh, she's supposed to be angry in this moment. She's supposed to be excited in this moment. And it felt like, and that's just the being an audio drama, you kind of have to oversell it because there's no other medium except your voice. So, but that's a very minor nitpick. Otherwise, like everyone killed it, especially Mark Thompson. But no surprise there.
That's always going to be a nitpick for me.
My king.
But I don't take it away from them, right? Like because as you said, it is an audio only format. So whenever I hear someone like going, I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? Of course, that's just the circumstance, so I can't really take it away from that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What about you, Brooke?
I'd have to agree. I think with the B+, I feel like it's a fair rating. This is the first real like audio drama that I've listened to. I still think I would have benefited from a little bit more guidance as far as like the setting, or like what are we in the present, are we in the past? It was pretty easy to follow, but like some sort of narration here and there I think would have been helpful for me. But that's because I take longer to process things as I'm like listening or reading or whatever. So that might just be a personal preference.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a straight B, a regular B. I did enjoy it, but again,
How dare you?
well, it's gonna depend on exactly your question. If you ask how do I rate this as an audio drama, then it gets an A. How do I rate this as my enjoyment of just jumping into something? It gets a B, because I'm not overly fond of this being the medium, but I can appreciate when it's done well. This one was done well.
Yeah, I like the way you put it. I was gonna joke around and say Choco is now toxic, but it's whatever. But I think these mediums are necessary. Like going back to the original point that I made about High Republic in general, I think they are taking baby steps with it. I think this is like the next step, because the one we just got after Tempest Runner was a manga, right? And then in a couple of weeks we're gonna get anime. So I think they're kind of providing people with a buffer to start telling these stories, especially with Edge of Balance, because I think that it makes sense to go from an audio drama to the next step in production, which would be a show or a short. And given that they have a full voice cast already for a lot of people involved, they might not necessarily look the part physically, so we can go with like an animated production, just to keep the people consistent in terms of voice. So I think we might get a High Republic show in the future after all is said and done, after all of these projects are done.
Ooh, I did come up with a fan cast while I was thinking about while we were talking, because it's fresh in my mind since I've been going through all of the Marvel Netflix shows. The actress that plays Elektra in Daredevil.
Yeah.
And she's also, I think she's also a French actress.
Okay.
Which would work.
Stop trying to make me also simp for
Lorna D. That's the point.
That's
and she's
fair.
really hot, so
I have to look this up.
She
Elodie Young? Elodie Young?
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
I would not be okay if that happened. That's because she's.
I wasn't ready.
I mean, I'm simping for Lorna right now, and that's that would make things easier as well for me to simp if it were her. So,
I mean, also, Prolix in general has just always felt the French or French adjacent.
that's true.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
I like what you said, Element, that it's kind of not transactional, but like transitional, because I also had the thought, I didn't get to say it in my final thoughts, like it's hard for me to recommend this to somebody who hasn't seen anything else High Republic. This piece of media was for High Republic fans.
Yeah.
And it's like they wanted to tell the story about Lorna D, but Cavan Scott didn't have time to write a whole novel, and that story probably didn't need to be in a whole novel. So this is like an extra piece of media to enjoy and to be in another format for people to enjoy, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've been doing that for a while now. They have the High Republic shorts that they do on their YouTube channel. Those are the ones that get botted, but they're awesome shorts. And if we have that foundation for an animation, if they have those assets done, it's only a matter of time before they get fleshed out into even broader assets to be used in production of a show.
And I'll say this as well, because I had this thought at the beginning when you mentioned this. Forget a show, please don't make it Dave Filoni. Let someone else helm a show about Star Wars.
Yeah, we could
to have more diversity in creators.
We can have Filoni as the EP, and so people start blaming him. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
You know what, though?
I want to see.
Go for it.
I was gonna say I want to see a animated series in the style of the Galaxy of Adventures, short things.
Ooh.
I really like that animation style. I feel like it would be really cool for the High Republic.
Yeah, I'm down for that one.
Filling my head with all this cool stuff.
I'm thinking
I
about
love
it
Star
too.
Wars.
I would love Filoni to EP this, and I would love Deborah Chow to do the first episode of High Republic. All of the people who have directed in The Mandalorian have just proven themselves. I just want them to come back and have a take at a couple of episodes of High Republic and put their own spin on each character, just like the authors are having their own spin on each character.
Well, Deborah Chow was getting Obi-Wan, so like I think she's good. Yeah.
Honestly, if I were to choose, just like thinking about the style, I forgot his name and I feel so bad. But the one that did the jailbreak episode and the one that
Fumikawa or Fuma, I can't say his name.
Those.
Oh yeah, I was thinking him too.
Because those feel the most High Republic. Like that jailbreak episode felt like
that could be
very
Lorna
similar
D.
to this story that
Lorna D and Bala.
Yeah,
I hate Bala. That guy, screw him.
Arya says, Brooke, that's what I want to. Camilla says, the possibilities are endless. What an exciting time for new voices to be brought in. Cal 4 tuning in with 10 seconds on the clock, apparently. Chiming in to say hi, but see the spoiler tag, so I'm ears off at the moment. No, we are actually wrapping up. There you go. We are just about out of time, so we're not in spoilers anymore. Maybe I should just type that in the chat. No longer in spoiler territory.
It's only like 6 hours long anyway, Cal. How dare you?
Thank you, Camilla. Rick Femayiwa. That is the director. I would just love all of them to come back, honestly. They're a stable of directors that have just like done amazing things for The Mandalorian. I would love an Avar and Elzar centered episode with Bryce Dallas Howard directing that.
Yes.
Cal says, how dare I? I've been busy.
Who directed the second to last episode?
Season 1 or 2?
Season 2.
That was Rick. That was Rick Fami.
Spy Kids guy.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure.
Done.
Yeah.
So
No, that was Spy Kids guy did the Boba Fett episode because he's doing all the Book of Boba Fett stuff.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Robert Rodriguez.
So second to last meaning the return of Space Boston. But like
Yeah, that was him. That was Fama Yua.
Perfect. Well then, yeah,
Same one that
that's
did
exactly
the other
who we
Bill
need.
Burr episode.
Oh, okay. Arya with the clutch ship name. It's Elvar.
Elvar?
I like that. I like that a lot. Camilla says, if they ever adapt Lost Stars, Bryce needs to direct it. Beth and I are conducting this train. Feel free to hop on. I'm already on with the ticket in hand.
Yeah, same.
Punch my ticket.
I'm literally the conductor on that train. Thank you for hiring me. I appreciate it.
I just also have to shout this out because it's funny. It has to be directed by Bruce Dallas Howard. And when I read that, I was like, who is that? Yeah, so do you guys have any final thoughts before I wrap this up? Brooke, any final thoughts? Any plugs? Anything you're working on?
Final thoughts is thanks for having me on. This was fun. If you want to check out some cool Star Wars merch, you can go to Far Far Away Factory on Etsy. If you want to follow me on Twitch, you can go to the link in my bio on TikTok because apparently you can't search for me on Twitch.
Well, that's
but
weird.
it's fine. It's just bdazzler with 2 underscores. I'm close to 50 followers, which is what you need for affiliate. So I'm just saying. But yeah, I do fun stuff sometimes.
Absolutely follow her on Twitch so that you can see her force stop a gear and then run off the edge and die. Sorry.
A lot.
The platforming in that game is
times.
not the most fleshed out.
Yeah, it could use little.
I'm just here for BD1.
Same.
It was literally Brooke's love of droids that led me to create the Here Comes the Droids audio. So
Love that audio,
Yes.
by the way.
Okay, I spent way too much money on a 3D printed BD1 And so once it gets here, I will be using that sound for a video. Don't worry.
The boy.
Very nice.
Awesome.
Justin, any final thoughts? Projects?
Thank you for having me on. It was a great time. Loving Star Wars. Everyone loves Star Wars. Love each other. Be good to each other. Have fun together. I ramble on TikTok. This _ Justin 998. You can watch me ramble there. The podcast we are putting together, that's a live play D&D Star Wars, is going to be called Star Wars First Resistance. It will be coming up soon. We're getting those finishing touches, and I'm very excited about that.
Awesome.
So stay tuned.
Awesome.
Choco. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I am Darth Choco. You can follow me YouTube, Darth Choco. Instagram, Darth.Choco, although I don't do much over there right now. Twitter is Darth Choco 7. Is it Darth Choco 7?
Darth Choco
Mostly just follow me on TikTok. But yeah, I have fun talking about Star Wars. The High Ground podcast this week, we are going to be diving into Galaxy's Edge with a few experts. So if you're curious on what goes on down in Disneytown, please feel free to join, and should be a lot of fun. I'm going to have Sawyerism on that one. I'm going to have the other half of the Dark Side Divas, Chris, on for that one. And I guess there's a surprise guest, must be because she has not confirmed, but it'll be a lot of fun. So we would be honored if you would join us.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode of Dyad in the Force. Shout out to Camilla, Arya, Cal, anyone else who's left in the chat who has not already left to avoid spoilers. I do want to give a shout out to, of course, to our current channel members and Squadron 7, without which we could not continue to give you this show or content. Starting with St. Pat in the X-Wing, our Superstar Destroyer fleet with Grandmaster Bale, Harith Productions, DePaul, Nerd Connor and Gray in the U-Wings, Levi Bond in the TIE Interceptor, Masa in the Y-Wings, X-Core Gamer Skills in the A-Wing, Cal, Card2D2 in the VCX 100, and then we have our reserve pilots, Johnsky, Julie Christine, and Xanatos 1138. Brian with the beard in Boba Fett's Starship, or Fire Spray. Darth Choco and Arya L in the Jedi Vector. And then we have Star Wars Scholar and Mentally Ill Sith Lord. Welcome back, Jesse. In the TIE Defender, Star Wars Lawyer and Lady Luck, Podwans Podcast in this Jedi Starfighter 2, and Mabe in the Razor Crest. Thank you guys once again for tuning in. That is the end. On to the next one.
For Light and for Life,
we are all the Republic.
and may the Force be with you always.